Hi guys, this is the Drummer Carlos. On today's video, I'm gonna give you my review of episode 3 of The History of the World, part 2. Off to see the Grand Grant and the Grand Todd. So here we go, guys. I enjoyed episode 3 because we got to see total chaos and funny, and Mel Brooks comedy at its peakest and greatest point, at its comic genius, in my opinion. So the first sketch that I really enjoyed, guys, was the first one that we saw in episode 3, which was Alexander Graham Bell making the first obviously making the first call, but in this case making the first call on the telephone. Of course, as we all know, Alexander Graham Bell is the inventor of the telephone, or one of the inventors of the telephone. But in this case, Alexander Graham Bell is being in the sketch. He's being pranked by one of his co-workers, who's played by Keegan Thompson from SNL fame. From SNL fame. I really enjoyed Keegan Thompson's character, obviously because he was playing a prank on Alexander Graham Bell, but not only he was playing a prank call to Alexander Graham Bell, but he was Keegan Thompson's character in the sketch was pretending to be Alexander Graham Bell's mother, his mom, guys. Imagine if you were Alexander Graham Bell, and you were being pranked by one of your coworkers pretending to be your mom. I really enjoyed Keegan Thompson's Keegan Thompson's character pranking Alexander Graham Bell by pretending that he was his Alexander Graham Bell's mother. And here's why. I really enjoyed Keegan Thompson's pranking voice, prank call voice, pranking call voice, pretending to be Alexander Graham Bell's mother. I loved Keegan Thompson's female womanly voice, pretending to be Alexander Graham Bell's mother. And obviously Alexander Graham Bell's reaction. And he said, and Alexander Graham Bell, one point in the call, at one point during the prank call, he said, Alexander Graham Bell, if you are my mother, if you are my mother, like you say you are, prove it to me. And prove it to me. And Keegan Thompson's character said, I am your mother, using his female voice. And obviously, and the funny thing was, and the funny part of that prank call is that Alexander said, "Oh yes, that is my mother. That sounds totally and exactly like my mother." Meanwhile, or a few minutes later in the call, we could see Keegan Thompson's character looking to the side, or looking at Alexander Graham Bell, who was sitting down at his desk with many people, with a group of people, I'm guessing a group of co-inventors of the telephone, co-workers of co-inventors of the telephone, or very intrigued group of people. And we could see Keegan Thompson peeking over at Alexander Graham Bell while Alexander's waiting for Keegan Thompson's character to keep the conversation, the prank call going. And we could see, besides Keegan Thompson's character peeking or looking at Alexander Graham Bell, we could see Keegan Thompson's assistant looking at poor Alexander Graham Bell too. And at the very end of the prank call. And by the way, sorry about this, guys, but viewer discretion and listeners viewer and listeners are advised. Viewer discretion is advised. But anyway, at the very end, Keegan Thompson's character says to poor Alexander Graham Bell, to finish off this first prank call in Mel Brooks dark comedy style. Keegan Thompson's character tells Alexander Graham Bell, can you pull your pants down, and can you put your thing in the phone. And to be honest, guys, I was like, this is definitely a part of Mel Brooks humor or dark humor that I'm typically, or that I was used to back in the day. But to see it now again in this, to hear it now many years later, and especially at this time, it got me to think, this is very refreshing, and I felt a little bit disturbed by thinking this is very refreshing to hear this again. So overall, I loved the first sketch. Now the second sketch in this third episode of the History of the World Part 2 was we got back to the Russian Revolution, where we see Mr. Schmuck played by the great and funny Nick Kroll, being a DoorDash Russian Revolution DoorDash guy. And the sketch is set inside the palace of Vladimir Lenin. Yes, Vladimir Lenin, and he's talking to his advisor / cabinet, where he's telling them about the Red Terror, basically the slogan of the Russian Revolution. And we see his Vladimir's advisors giving him other ideas other than his own idea, which is let's call our revolution the Red Scare. And many people are giving out or telling them his few of his cabinet members are telling him their ideas, but they fall on deaf ears. So then Joseph Stalin, played by Jack Black, gives his idea, but Vladimir Lenin shuts him down, or shuts his idea down, and his cabinet, Vladimir and his cabinet laugh at poor Jack Black, and as Joseph Stalin, and then Nick Kroll had been handing out Vladimir Lenin and his cabinet their food for the cabinet meeting, and poor Jack Black as Joseph Stalin. Nick Kroll just gives him a celery soda, and he says, "Dude, no." Joseph Stalin says, or Jack Black says, as Joseph Stalin says, is this really all I'm getting? All I'm getting? And Nick and Mr. Schmuck, Nick Kroll's character says, I'm kidding. Here's your stew. And then Nick Kroll says, you can't have just stew, just a beef stew, stew in the presence of a guy as great as Joseph Stalin. And I thought that was a, like, see, you don't, and that's when I realized that was a dig at Joseph Stalin, saying you don't belong here in the cabinet. You don't belong in the presence of Vladimir Lenin, and you don't belong in the cabinet. In the cabinet, you don't need to be here at this important cabinet meeting that Vladimir Lenin is having with his cabinet. which includes you, but you don't deserve to be in his cabinet. So I thought that was funny. Then so that so and then the third sketch that I really enjoyed was obviously we got to travel back to the Civil War, and this time we didn't quite get to see our old friends General Grant and Robert Todd Lincoln. We got introduced to three new characters. General Honeybeard and General Honeybeard and Soldier Mason Dixon and Mingos. I really enjoyed this sketch because it obviously it brought us back to the Civil War, but we didn't see anything regarding General Grant and Robert Todd Lincoln physically, like visually. We heard their names mentioned by name in the sketch. Then later on in the sketch, we see all three new characters go into an underground tunnel where they meet Wanda Sykes as the great and awesome Harriet Tubman, which, as we all know, she in her Underground Railroad brought or smuggled slaves from the south to the north with her underground railroad network. And I really enjoyed this part of the sketch because when all three characters, Mean Ghost, Mason Dixon and General Honeybeard got into the tunnel while they were traveling towards the location of General Grant and Robert Todd Lincoln. They found themselves going into a tunnel, and they found themselves with Harriet Tubman, and I think yes, and I believe that General Honeybeard says to Harriet Tubman, "Are you Harriet Tubman, the woman that builds tubs?" And Wanda Sykes as Harriet Tubman says in a great funny way, says to General Honeybeard, "Dude, no. Don't you see this? I don't build tubs. Can you see that there's a train turnstile and a ticket booth or ticket booth?" And I thought that, I know that she didn't. I know that Wanda Sykes has Harriet Tubman didn't say that. Didn't say those words, but she implied. She implied that, dude, seriously, can't you see? And I thought that was very funny. Then she says, then Wanda Sykes, as Harriet Tubman says, to the three men, really, you are the fools that are supposed to free us from slavery. You are the fools, or a part of the army that is supposed to save the Union, save the Union and the states and the states, and save us. Really have we I feel ashamed. I feel ashamed for you. I'm embarrassed by you. I'm embarrassed by you. And I really enjoyed that. Now the fourth thing that I really enjoyed about this episode was that we got to see the Bolshevik, that we got to travel back to the Bolshevik Revolution, not only once but twice, just like we did with the Civil War. But the second time that we traveled back to the Russian Revolution, we see Nick Kroll's wife, or Mr. Schmuck's wife, talking to a group of people and saying to this group of people, we need to fight Vladimir and his revolution and his evil cabinet. And here was the funny part of the meeting, that there was a group of three man group saying that they were the boys to Bolsheviks. And I thought that was funny, because at that moment I was like, boys to Bolshevik. Mel Brooks was making fun of the great R&B group Boyz II Men, and this three-man group was starting to sing I'll forge for you. I'll forge for you. And I thought that was funny. I thought that was great. I thought that was great and awesome. Then let's go ahead and talk about the fifth sketch that I saw, which was Sigmund Freud, the great neurologist and therapist, giving his version of a master class, which is the great subscription service that lets you learn stuff like how to produce, how to cook, and many other things, And Sigmund Freud was played by who else, guys? But none other than the great director, Marvel MCU director Taika Waititi, who directed Thor 3, which is Thor Ragnarok, Thor Love and Thunder. I really enjoyed Taika Waititi playing Sigmund Freud. First of all, I love the History of the World Part 2 trailer that we saw before the series was available to stream on Hulu. But in the trailer we see Taika Waititi as Sigmund Freud saying welcome to my masturbate class, but he said oops. I said oops, I meant to say master class, and I thought that was funny when I saw the full trailer of the History of the World Part 2. But when I heard Taika Waititi say those exact words again as Sigmund Freud, I just laughed. I just couldn't stop laughing. I just couldn't stop laughing. So thank you. So guys, thank you guys for watching. Leave a like and let me know. Leave a like. Thank you. Leave a like. Leave a comment and let me know what was your favorite sketch. What was your favorite part or sketch in episode 3 of the History of the World Part 2. And also let me know who would you put in your own, if you could make your own History of the World Part 2 episode 3 episode of the History of the World Part 2. I would put Larry Bird, yes, the basketball player, with Albert Einstein. I think that would be a funny sketch. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Bye.